Jenny from Just Being Me, and you're listening to the Learning to Love Yourself podcast, the show that inspires you to put yourself first.
Learning to love yourself on the path to happiness. Learning to love yourself on the path to happiness.
Welcome to our very special Q&A session, where you can send in your questions and I'll answer them on the podcast. So our very first question was, how can I practice self-compassion when I can't see anything nice about myself? Self-compassion starts with recognizing that everyone makes mistakes and everyone has flaws. Treat yourself with the same kindness that you'd show a friend. Reframe the negative self-talk into compassionate thoughts. For example, instead of thinking I'm a failure, you might say, I'm learning and it's okay to make mistakes. You can focus on the good parts of you. And every time you focus on what you see as a negative part, you tell yourself to stop and focus on the good parts. Good parts, I can hear you saying? We all have our strengths. It can just be difficult to identify them to ourselves, especially when no one has ever praised you for it. Or even worse, they've made you feel bad for it. I have always been a natural leader from a very little girl, but I was criticised for wanting attention, for being bossy and being too big for my boots. So I hid myself, not necessarily physically, but I didn't show anybody my leadership because it felt too uncomfortable. And believe me, I still don't like major attention, but I have come to realise that those people who put me down did so because it suited their purposes. So, for example, my teachers, they needed me to sit quietly and do my work. My parents, who needed me just to sit in a corner and read my book. Ask yourself, what is it that I like about myself? Am I happy with being who I am? If not, then what is it specifically that you don't like? And how can you change that? You will find things that you are happy with, and you will learn how to feel comfortable with them by repeating that you like that about yourself, and that is okay. You don't need to shout it from the rooftops if you don't feel comfortable to, but you will find it easier to say to yourself. And by consciously realizing this, you will grow in confidence. Now go give it a try. The second question today, how do I create a confidence that comes from inside of me and doesn't rely on others validating me? Authentic self-confidence comes from being self-aware and accepting yourself for who you truly are. Building it requires focusing on your strengths, practicing skills until you master them, and setting personal goals that align with your values. By doing this, it means that over time you'll develop an internal reassurance rather than relying on praise from others. It's always nice to have a compliment from others, but use it as a bonus because you already know how amazing you are, your strengths and your weaknesses alike. Another question that I've been asked, what can I do daily to support my self-love and improve my relationship with myself? Daily habits are really important. They can include things like practicing gratitude, and gratitude can be as simple as I'm really grateful for waking up today. It doesn't have to be a major, big materialistic thing. I'm really glad for my muscles moving my body. I'm really glad for my lungs allowing me to breathe. They can be anything like that, as well as all the others that happen. But if you're struggling for gratitudes, just look at your hand and see how your fingers move. Don't take that for granted. That's a really big thing to be grateful for. You can repeat positive affirmations, and you need to set yourself non-negotiable time for self-care. Now that's going to take practice because your brain is not used to doing it. So do things like write yourself a note and stick it somewhere that you'll go to regularly, like your fridge or above the kettle or the bathroom cabinet. But remember to change those notes around, make them different regularly, because otherwise your brain just gets used to seeing the note there and doesn't read it. You can set yourself alarms to remind you, but only cancel the alarm when you have done the self-care. If you can't do it at that time, snooze the alarm or change the alarm to a time that you can do it. You can also journal. Journaling about what you appreciate about yourself and reflecting on all of your achievements, however small, can also strengthen your self-love. And when I say small, it could be, I got up this morning. There was a time in my life where I really struggled to get myself into the shower. So I celebrated that. I've had a shower today. It can be the small things, celebrate all the little things, because that creates better building blocks for moving along in life. So the next question is, how do I get positive? So let's be clear. There are always going to be times when you don't feel positive, and that's just okay. We need to acknowledge those feelings and ask ourselves, what are they really about? Take a moment to sit quietly, allowing your conscious mind to slow down and your subconscious mind to surface. The subconscious mind is the one that's always chattering and planning and solving problems. But your subconscious, or what you might call your inner self or intuition, God or the universe, comes forward when things are quieter. For me, this often happens when I'm driving, especially when I'm on familiar routes. At that point, my conscious mind doesn't have to work as hard, and my subconscious can step forward, bringing me new insights and such amazing content. The more you practice listening, trust me, the easier it gets. Get to know your feelings. Once you understand what they are and how they affect you, you can start to work out a way through them. You can also compartmentalize them and focus on other positive things in your life. For example, when I was grieving for my mother-in-law, I could still find joys in the little things, like what my dog did, and how I continued to feel the love for my children. I noticed these things because I consciously chose to look for them. I acknowledged how deeply sad I was because I'd lost such an amazing person. And I knew I needed to process that grief. But I also appreciated the positives in my life, and I felt incredibly grateful for them. Even at a point in my life when I really didn't feel very positive about myself, there was something inside of me that recognized that I needed to be positive. It was really hard at first, but things only seem hard because our brain hasn't learnt how to handle them yet. So I made a decision. Every morning I told myself that I was amazing and that today was going to be a great day. And at first it felt awkward, but over time, it was okay. It's become my absolute routine. I still do it now. And affirmations have become such a big part of my life. In fact, I've even created 2 affirmation books, which are available on Amazon. These books use I am and I feel statements, and they help you to practice positive daily thinking. So take it one day at a time. Know where you want to go and practice, practice, practice. Get to know yourself and allow yourself to see your positives in your lives. If you're struggling with any of the questions that we've listened to today, please come and talk to me. My first session is free, and we actually get on with some mindset work whilst we're there. Go to my website, which is www.jennyfield.co.uk. Go into the coachings tab at the top and book yourself a free session. Thanks for listening today. If you'd like to know more, you can find all the links down below. Oh, and don't forget to press subscribe so you can catch the next one. See you soon.